all the secret of good health is hidden in our traditional methods and the recipes. You know, nutrition is such a huge field.
Correct.
And it doesn't remain just with nutrition. It is about exercise, about lifestyle, about sleep, and many things are there.
Sure.
Every time I used to have cold and cough or a seasonal fever, I wanted to know why this has happened. So I found all the trigger factors.
Okay.
And I just eliminated them. I've seen people who do intermittent fasting, they are more prone to cough and cold. Now it's
This is going to be controversial. This is going to be, but I'm very interested in knowing this.
not only in nutrition but also in your life and your sleep and your exercise, and of course your attitude. Everything matters if you want to have a healthy, long, happy and productive life.
Before we get you on the video, we have an exciting announcement to make for you. We are coming up with one of the most highly anticipated contests where you'll stand a chance to win this amazing Mishta box. It's a personal Indian traditional mithai brand by Suman, who's been on our show already and who's again coming with lots and lots of information for you. We will be asking a question from the video itself. Make sure you pay attention to the video, answer it right, and stand a chance to win this amazing box filled with lots of love and lots of sweets. Welcome back to Radio City. Today I'm Shweta, your host, and I'm sitting with one of my most favorite people to talk to. Welcome back, Suman.
Thank you, Shweta. I'm also happy to come back again.
All the statistics, the reel went viral and all of it aside, it's so good to talk to you again because it always feels like there's something more to learn from you every time we talk. And it's not just about lifestyle health, but it's overall your vibe is very positive. Last time, people who haven't heard her last conversation, I truly suggest go to our last video, have a look at it, because this one's going to be a little more deeper, a little more specific, as I can say. Where would you like to start?
No, just to close up your conversation which we just started, is that, you know, nutrition is such a huge field.
Correct.
And it doesn't remain just with nutrition. It is about exercise, about lifestyle, about sleep, and many things are there.
Sure.
So, and I truly believe that, you know, if you are taking care of your nutrition and your lifestyle, you can live a very productive, healthy, long, easy life.
Happy life.
Happy life. So, yeah.
So last time we spoke about, just touch based upon the basics of nutrition, lifestyle, as you mentioned, how sleep is important. We also spoke extensively about how sugar is bad, alternatives to that. Myths and facts were busted over there. I want to ask about the basic things, how, you mentioned that you were a sickly child, but over the years, after you've taken this nutrition quite seriously, you've never felt sick. What's the magic recipe behind that?
You know, you mentioned that, of course, I have, if I was falling sick every 3 months, now I fall sick every 3 years,
Wow.
2 to 3 years. Okay, it's not that I don't fall sick. So there is no magic recipe. There is not a single ingredient. People think, okay, take aloe vera, take vitamin C or take glutathione and you'll be healthy. These are super antioxidant, or take all berries in a bowl,
Right.
and that will help you. There is nothing like that. It is a formula where you learn to understand why have you fallen sick. So what I did, I used to track down. Every time I used to have cold and cough or a seasonal fever, I wanted to know why this has happened. So I found all the trigger factors.
Okay.
And I just eliminated them. So I will tell you how like today only I consulted a client and he said he's gotten seasonal fever. To hota hi hai. I said, why? Why will this hota hi hai happen? You are my client and I've made your diet so well that you're not supposed to get cold and cough.
Right.
Okay, unless you have really exposed yourself to COVID, this thing, or
Sure.
if you've gotten bitten by dengue. So all that I can't help, but generally you should not be falling sick just because the cold is in the air or the flu is in the air. So then of course I goaded and I understood that he used to miss his evening snacks, which was almost 9 to 10 grams of protein. I said, if you're going to decrease your protein and not eat for 6 to 7 hours long, then naturally you're going to fall sick.
Right.
Whatever is there in the air, you'll get it. So the first thing is sleep. In order to not fall sick, no matter how healthy you eat, how much you exercise, how much nutraceuticals you take, everything apart, if you haven't slept for minimum 6 to 7 hours, you are at the risk of, because your immunity goes down.
Right.
There is a hit on your immunity if you don't sleep enough. That is the first thing. Now, second mistake people make is, okay, they have partied in the night, but next day the trainer is coming, so they'll go and train. Now, if you haven't slept enough, your body is not recovered. You should not wake up in the morning and do heavy training. You can do light training or just light cardio, but you cannot put your body under stress. As it is, sleep stress is there, sleep deprivation, and top of that you're putting physical stress. So that is the second thing you have to track, that you haven't slept well, then don't do heavy exercise next morning, or at least don't wake up to exercise.
Right.
Okay, early. Without completing your sleep. That is the first thing. And the second thing. Third, which is very, very important, is to maintain your protein level in your diet. So generally we say that a woman needs around medium height and medium weight, around 50 grams of protein, and men require between 65 to 75 grams of protein depending on their weight. So that much protein has to be taken, but not only pure protein form, because the protein is there also in little bit in the vegetables, little bit in the carbohydrate like roti, millet, whatever they eat, little there. And of course there are protein in pulses and milk protein and chicken and eggs. So of course this is a whole calculation which we only make for everyone. So it's not that pure protein they have to take, like, okay, I mean, I need protein, so I'll take 2 scoops of whey protein, which is 24 gram and 24 gram, and I'm done with my protein. You don't have to do that. That will become excessive protein. So yeah, there is a whole calculation which goes behind. So sleep, protein sufficiency, understanding when to exercise. And fourth is certain vitamins, when they go dip in your body, that can also impact your immunity. The first and foremost is iron.
Right.
Hemoglobin. So the women should keep their iron levels or hemoglobin levels more than 12.5, and men should keep it between like more than 13.5. So that is the thing, because hemoglobin is how you transport your oxygen throughout your body, and of course that helps. Secondly, what is most important is vitamin D, because lack of vitamin D are more susceptible to sickness, skin problems, and frequent cold and cough. So that's another one which is very important. So and B12 is actually not related to immunity but other things. So these are the 2 main vitamins for the same. So first is, again I'm repeating, sleep, exercising but knowing when to. Third is your protein, and fourth is your nutraceuticals. Now in vitamin C is also another one. If you think you are prone to seasonal cold and cough or hay fever, taking a vitamin C helps. So that should be, if they can take around 500 mcg, which is milligrams, which is available in the market, like Celine, or so, which is okay to take, but it's not for everyone. We understand whom to give.
Sure.
And add that. So that is the another nutraceutical which is good for them. But in the protein, I wanted to tell you why protein sufficiency is so important, because antibodies are made from protein.
Okay.
Also, iron low could be due to protein, because the globin part is the protein.
Oh.
So you could be having low iron because of course, either your gut is not able to absorb the iron from the food, or secondly, because the protein sufficiency, your diet is deficient in iron-rich food, and third is protein sufficiency. These are the reason where you could be impacting your iron levels, and so the protein also impacts your iron level if it is insufficient. So you can imagine that antibodies are also made from protein. So antibodies are required to fight any sickness which your body wants to fight. So I think this is almost which I would think about in lifestyle factors and dietary factors. But another one which is comes to my mind is, I have seen people who do intermittent fasting. They are more prone to cough and cold.
Oh.
Now it's
this is going to be controversial. This is going to be, but I'm very interested in knowing this. Yes.
Yeah. So, your body can, suppose you are a person who's hardworking, you have an early day to start and you are working, and then evening also you are like traveling long distances and reaching home late. So, if you're doing intermittent, so naturally, suppose your day starts at, say, you take your breakfast at, say, 10 o'clock, that means your last meal will be at 6. But you are going to reach home at say 8:30 and you're going to sleep at say around 12 o'clock.
Right.
All youngsters do that.
Right.
So that means you are without food from 6 o'clock in the evening till 12 o'clock. Yeah, because intermittent doesn't allow maybe small fruit. So this long gap of being active and not eating can cause your immunity to fall. So that is why we tell that best way to handle not falling sick is making sure you have your meals maximum 4 hours apart after you are awake. So if you are awake at 6, latest you can eat is at 10. 9 o'clock is ideal.
Right.
Latest lunch can be at say 2, 1 o'clock is ideal. Latest evening snacks can be 6, ideal is 5. Latest dinner can be at 10, but ideal is 9. So 9, 1, 5, 9, 10, 2, 6, 10, one should follow. And then you sleep, say if you had your dinner at 9 or 10, you sleep at 11, 12, which is fine because you're not leaving that long gap when you're active. Your body constantly requires energy. So people who do intermittent are more prone, because I've seen it time and again in my practice. They have more chances of getting seasonal cold and cough if they are on intermittent diet. It's not that we don't give intermittent, but we choose smartly whom to give, seeing how hectic is their life.
Right.
And so these are the things, according to me, really helps to keep me healthy. I like, suppose if someone is sick in my house, okay, so I'm supposed to get that cold and cough, but touch wood, that doesn't happen.
Because nobody's sick in your house.
No, because if they fall sick, I can also fall sick, but because it doesn't happen, because I take care of my nutrition.
Right.
I make sure if I've slept less, I don't exercise heavy next morning. I might just do a smaller duration cardio or very light exercise, toning exercises. I never miss my meals. If I know I'm going somewhere and I'm going to have a long gap in my meals, I carry something to have in between. And especially if I'm feeling little low and I feel I'm going to get a seasonal cold or cough, so I feed this thing. So I eat a lot, eat more than what I require to eat, and I sleep a lot and rest a lot. And touch wood, I really keeps me healthy.
But when you say you don't fall sick, is it just about the common cough and cold?
Cough and cold.
Is it about, I mean, that also involves the weather change, how it affects the body and all of it? Or is it about, some serious diseases that we're also talking?
Yeah. So as I told you, I don't know whether I said in my last podcast, we study everyone's genetic history in a very detailed manner.
Sure.
Anyone who comes to us, and we have a full record of their genetic history, their parents and their grandparents and their uncles and their aunts and their cousins and brothers and sisters, what they have. So for that matter, my family, we have host of ailments. So from diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, ischemic heart disease, asthma, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, thyroid, cancer, everything is there in my family history, literally, and skin diseases. So one of my thing was that I understand that, okay, these many things are there in my family. So why I started my nutrition only because I didn't want to get anything. I said, what can I do to not get any disease, which is there in my family history. So if you maintain a very good lifestyle, you maintain a very good weight, and you exercise daily, sleep enough, and it's not that I don't eat desserts or I don't have alcohol or I'm extremely healthy. But I choose when to eat and when not to eat.
Sure.
But I enjoy my life at the same time. But I keep the balance really intact. That has really helped me.
Rookie question. You mentioned about proteins over here. I'm a vegetarian. Many of our viewers are vegetarian. What are the best sources or excellent sources of proteins that one could rely on if they are vegetarians?
So vegetarian have only they have to understand the concept of first class protein and the second class protein.
Okay.
So first class protein is only which is coming from milk protein, which is milk, dahi, paneer, cheese.
Right.
And the second class protein would be pulses like rajma, chola, sattu, dals, tofu. Everything is second class. And we get some amount of protein also from nuts, and very little from vegetables. And some amount we also get from roti, rice, all the millets. Okay.
Right.
But the major sources are these two. But why we call pulses as second class? First of all, if you take say a katori of dal, say 150 ml of dal, it will have 6 grams of protein, which is great. But it will also have 12 grams of carbohydrates.
Oh,
So it is almost double the carbohydrates and the protein.
Okay.
But if you take say milk protein like curd, 1 cup curd, the curd would be having almost 5 to 6 grams of protein.
Right.
Yeah. Very little carbs. Carbs would be hardly around 5 to 6 grams. And fat is also very rich, which is around 5 to 6 grams.
Sure.
So the fat is also important for you because it has, it can have vitamin, calcium. Milk has calcium, and the fat has SFA, which can of course impact your cholesterol in positive or negative way. But it has cholesterol, which is very important for many functions in your body.
Sure.
Like I had a client coming in, he had fat-free milk for 5 years. But he used to also jog, and he was a vegetarian. Because he did not have any ghee or fat from the milk, which I realized later that impacted his vitamin D absorption. Because though he was jogging in the morning and sun rays were falling on his skin, which is supposed to convert it into vitamin D, it never happened because of absence of cholesterol.
So cholesterol is equally important. The good cholesterol is important.
No, so the cholesterol which is there in milk or eggs or chicken is also important for us.
Oh.
It raises your LDL and HDL both.
Right.
Yeah. So here that is why the vegetarians need that cholesterol rich milk protein in form of paneer or curd. If they're lactose intolerant, they don't have to have milk. Try curd. There's lactose free milk also available.
Sure.
Yeah. So that is the first class protein, and second class protein you have dal, chole, rajma, sattu, pulses, tofu, tempeh, soya nuggets, all that is your protein. So
right. You know, we all know that you design diet charts for celebrities and actors, but we don't know your diet chart. That's been a little bit of a mystery. So we want to know, what the master's diet chart is, who masters others' diet chart. So,
yeah, that's very interesting. Of course, I will tell everyone. So my breakfast is a combination of protein, fat, carbs and fiber. So I would sometimes have egg omelette or scrambled along with either toast. I prefer having with chapati or thepla. Yeah.
The Gujarati in me is very happy right now.
So, or I have paneer toasty, or I have moong and thepla. So, these are the 3-4 combination, or I have curd and upma or something like that. Right. And I always have dip tea. I avoid having masala chai. Then my lunch would be either rice, dal and vegetable, or rice, curd and vegetable, or paneer vegetable with some rice or chapati. So, it's a combination of protein, carbs, fats and fiber.
Sure.
Then my evening snacks is generally a fistful of nuts, and with that I have a cup of tea, and sometimes I can also have some carbs if my days are very heavy. There I restrict because I'm also, because of my work which I'm sitting down so much, like see, only sitting down.
Don't blame me, don't come for my neck.
So then I do have a protein smoothie every evening because I do weight training and I do a lot of exercise to maintain my muscle mass because I'm 55 plus. Sure. So I have to maintain my muscle. So I have a protein shake and but depending on how much protein I see and put. And then my dinner could be again, since I've recently turned non-vegetarian. So sometimes I have carbs could be rice or chapati or quinoa or noodle or pasta. My protein could be either dal or paneer or curd or chicken, and my vegetables are just whatever I like. But 90% I eat cooked vegetables. Salads I take only if I'm at home for lunch. Then I tell him to make me some fresh salad or on a Saturday, Sunday when I'm at home.
Interesting. It's not at all that difficult to follow. It's very healthy. Sounds delicious. Makes me hungry.
Yeah, and I do have pav bhaji once a week. I have burrito bowl. I have sev puri. Sev puri is my favorite.
It makes two of us. Yeah. I'm already ready.
But yeah, we make it. So my healthier version of sev puri would be like using cucumber slices instead of puri. Yeah, I think I mentioned last time. So yeah, so this is how I make my diet interesting. I enjoy everything, vada pav and everything. But yeah, in a very different way, we make it non-fried. I don't touch fried food for that matter.
Amazing.
And I don't have farsan. I don't have papad.
I mean, many Gujaratis are going to be disappointed, and so are Sindhis, but okay. But we're embarking on festive season right now. I'm very excited. Everybody is very excited. how do we make sure with all the festive binge eating and the delicacies, we maintain the same lifestyle, same weight, you know, while also relishing into all that sweets and savory items?
Yeah. You know, this festive season, yeah, now Ganpati is coming, Paryushan happened, then Ganpati was going to happen, then Ganpati is going to start, and then we have Navratras. So, and it's nightmare for us for sure, because we keep hammering our clients, why are you having this meetha? Why are you binging on your meetha and your, you know, fried food? So, of course, my same thing which I follow, I tell everyone that please avoid having fried food, okay, especially commercially fried farsan, because they use oil again and again, too, which is carcinogenic.
Right.
Now, meetha, if I keep telling them don't have, they're not going to listen to me. So, I give them a hack. So, I tell them that, of course, have a smaller piece, okay, of mithai. Like how, see this, we have mishta, which is every mishta. So, I make mithai.
Right.
Imagine, I'm a nutritionist and I'm making, but why I embarked on this journey? Only because I understood that we all love desserts.
Right.
Okay, mithai. We are all Indians, so this is like in us. And I have grown up eating rasgulla sandesh because from Calcutta every day. That was our standard post-meal dessert. So I thought, why not come out with Indian mithai, laddus, okay, in such a way that people can eat one,
Right.
still maintain their health and not have side effects of, like, you know, how you eat chocolates, is only hardly much nutrition in chocolate, hardly much nutrition in donut or ice cream, because it is hydrogenated fats, right? So how can we teach our youngsters and especially the young children not to reach out for those gems and the chocolates and donuts and ice creams, and turn their attention towards Indian mithai, which is very healthy.
Right.
Take for sandesh, it is a small 20-gram sandesh would have at least 2 to 3 grams of protein. Okay, say a badam laddu or pista laddu will have at least 2 to 3 grams of protein.
Right.
And only 100 calories, because we made them bite size. And the quality of, so it is like, it is there in our traditions since so many years. It's just that got lost over the years. So so I wanted to bring back the goodness of Indian mithai to everyone, not only to the new upcoming toddlers and the teenagers, but also to us, that instead of, like, I saw people are only distributing during Diwali chocolates. They've forgotten only about Indian mithai.
Right.
So that's why we wanted to bring it up, and using the purest of the ingredients in pista and gond laddus, which is so healthy, and the sattu laddu, imagine sattu laddu. It's high in fiber, rich in iron and rich in protein. And of course, we use the best of the, so we do have monk fruit for diabetics, so that they can enjoy the mithai and not raise their sugar levels. But we also make it in sugar and jaggery, because I believe everything is the same. So that's how I embarked on it. So I tell my client the hack is to have a smaller portion, yeah, and have it after a meal, okay, and reduce, suppose you are having 3 chapatis, reduce 1 chapati and have 1 mithai. That's a good one. Yeah.
A little.
Or make your food little less fatty, and then you can have a mithai. Or since, like, say, I would have a mithai when? With my tea. In the evening, instead of dry fruit, I'll have a pista laddu or any, like, cashew nut, kesariya, kaju laddu. So I would have at that time. So it's like baking your cake and eating it too. Yeah. So that's how I tell them. And of course, if you eat your meals on time, you're never going to binge on anything. Binging only happens if you miss that 4-hour mark.
Right.
Okay, then there is something called ghrelin level, which goes high in your blood. Then you cannot stop eating.
Explain what's ghrelin.
So it's a hormone which is produced in your body if you don't give your body food at the regular intervals.
Okay.
And once that is triggered, then your hunger does not stop with the meal which you are supposed to. Even after a meal, you will feel like having something. Then after 30 minutes, again, you will feel like having a mithai. So that is what they have to control. That's how they can control the binge during festive season. I'm not saying don't enjoy, but yeah, limited and eat on time. And after a meal, if you eat a mithai, then chances are you're not going to spike your sugars.
Right. I'm going to stop this conversation right now because I have an exciting news for you. Suman and I are going to come up with an excellent and an amazing contest for all our viewers. It's going to be this amazing dish of mithai that you see over here. We are going to give out 3 boxes and each winner will get a box provided you answer the question right. To know the question and to know more details, stay tuned to the end of the video and you will have all the details. So this is a perfect hack of, maintaining your weight and while enjoying the entire festive season. Is there anything that the Gen Z generation, versus the millennial generation, while talking more about lifestyle, everybody is becoming much more aware thanks to social media, thanks to people like yourself who are, putting out content and making people more aware about, what's going on, what's not. Is there anything that probably the Gen Z is doing right and the millennials should learn from them? Because I'm sure your clients would be a mixed bag of a little bit of both.
So learning from Gen Z, which is the new generation, I have seen this new generation is very much aware, and they know everything. But most importantly, they are really interested in food, whether it's a boy or a girl, male or a female. So that's a very good thing, and we should learn the quickness. They know everything, okay, and if 15 years earlier I would tell, listen, you can't have this and you can have that and you can't have this, they would listen. But to Gen Z, I have to give explanation, which I like. Why you're doing this, why you should have that, why your levels are, and they ask that many questions. They're very inquisitive, yes, which I like. And so that's what I like about them, and that's something to learn from them. And they are very aware and they are very intelligent, whole lot. I have a problem with only about one thing about Gen Z, because they all love to work hard, but also they like to party hard, and they all sleep very late, and they all are sleep deprived. Not all in the sense, most of them.
Most of them, yeah.
So that is one issue which I find that because of that, that sleep deprivation can cause a lot of issues. Yeah. So we handle that a lot in the Gen Z, and we tell them why it's important to sleep, and so that's a struggle which is always there with them.
Which is which is a category, or maybe you can add more or less about foods in those categories, which are some of the products, some of the proteins or foods that are whole foods and that act as an excellent source of fiber, proteins, or just very rich in everything that we talk about.
There are many like that actually in a bowl. So Gen Z is all about eating bowls, having bowls. So like overnight oats, they make it rich with some nuts and everything.
Right.
And so overnight oats. Then they love their burrito bowls.
Right.
Then what I like in bowls is, of course, old school, which is curd rice.
Curd rice. I love curd rice. I love curd rice.
Yeah, they like everything in bowl. They make the interesting things, and they like smoothies. So we have lots of smoothies recipe which we give to the clients, which is made with either some protein powder and almond milk, or curd and fruits and nuts and some dates into it. So my all-time favorite would be a pistachio shake.
Just give us a quick recipe out of it.
So almond milk, pistachio, some dates. So my all-time favorite would be pistachio shake, which is vanilla whey and almond milk, pistachios, and some dates, flaxseed powder to add some fiber to it. It tastes yum. And so yeah, you can make smoothies, so many types of smoothies.
Right.
Yeah. So Gen Z is about smoothie and poke bowls, like quick fixes, which is, and today's world is going to be like that, right? Of course, we value the traditional food because I'm all about traditional food and all, but also there's a lot to learn from them, and they have only created such thing. My daughter is a millennial, and you have to see the kind of recipe she comes out with, Dr. Juhi Agarwal.
Wow. The last time we spoke about it, there were many people who commented, who agreed a little. Some people who said that no, maybe sugars, jaggery is excellent. It is a good source of iron, blah, 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 blah. But my only one thing is to rely on experts, whatever they say. What's one thing that you've noticed that in absence of sugar or completely stopping sugar from a diet, have you seen any repercussions or side effects of it?
No. In fact, it is.
Maybe a client, sorry to interrupt, but maybe a client of yours who may have come and then you may have to change the diet.
So, what I'm happy about, the Gen Z is all about not having sugar at all. The ones who are aware.
Right.
Because either, as I mentioned last, that whether it's sugar or jaggery or honey or dates, everything has sugar. So, if you cut out completely, okay, all that except the natural fruits and maybe dates, and so then your taste bud changes. In 14 days to 21 days, you will be able to not remember it at all.
Right.
And it has lot of good effects on your body because your skin becomes better, because presence of sugar, you get wrinkles. Suppose you are prone to diabetes, so that, then diabetes causes many other issues like fatty liver and ischemic heart disease, etc., etc. So that is out. So you can imagine the sugar can cause so many ailments. So if you remove sugar, you can actually add on many healthy years into your life.
Right.
In fact, think about it. Cancer. Your cancer food is only sugar in your body. And by the way, whatever we eat, whether we eat roti, whether we eat fats, everything converts into glucose.
Right.
Yeah. And that is what is bad for us. It's not bad. Glucose is not bad for us, but having pure sugar can be detrimental for a lot of people.
Sure.
But I am not able to do no sugar completely. I'm telling you the truth. I need little sugar in my tea, coffee, and that's what I manage. And when I can have that little mishta, which I told you, I have it, say, maybe once or twice in a week. That's all I can manage. So, but all the categories of sugar. So sugar is in it is produced in the factories, and it goes through many processing, and it's of course not healthy. Then we have next is jaggery, which is unprocessed.
Right.
So it has, say, more iron and more potassium. So it is rich in iron, potassium, which is healthy for us. But if you think you're diabetic and you can have jaggery, sorry. So you can have jaggery instead of, say, if you're making a mithai, you eat jaggery, and instead of sugar on something, you can put jaggery. So that is about jaggery. But there are also qualities of jaggery, where jaggery is also cleaned with acid. Yeah, processed. It's also processed. So people are going to think, okay, they're going to buy the yellow jaggery from the market and it's all healthy. They need to be careful.
Wow.
So organic jaggery is not treated that much. So that's a good one to have. Then we have, third one is honey. Honey actually has lot of curative properties, which others may not have. Say, for example, if someone has a lot of acidity, we give them Manuka honey first thing in the morning. Or if you can't afford Manuka because it's very expensive and it has a lot of strength, they can have normal honey, which is available of many brands. And of course, buying from a reliable source and with warm water and little lime is excellent to help them with their acidity and it calming to their gut. But of course, Manuka honey also does a good job. It lines their gut in a way, so slowly their gut becomes better. So honey has a lot of curative properties for that matter. Yeah. So honey is very good. So, but of course, everything has glucose and the sugar uptake in your blood is very fast. So that time I was talking about a diabetic. So a lot of diabetics come to me and they say कि okay, अब मैं sugar नहीं ले रहा हूँ but मैं jaggery ले रहा हूँ तो उससे तो sugar नहीं बढ़ेगा ना. I said why? It's उतना ही sugar बढ़ेगा. So that was my point, that you and of course as per the research, the glycemic index of jaggery is higher. That means the sugar uptake in your blood is much faster. So that is the research says, but yeah, there could be otherwise. So that is what I meant last time. That for diabetics, whether it is dates has little more fiber also and rich in iron also.
Sure.
So but high in potassium. So whether you take jaggery or date or sugar or honey, for a diabetic all will have the same impact.
We spoke about festive season earlier. You mentioned that before we started the cameras, you mentioned that you would be doing Navratra right now this year. What are some, not tips, but foods or recipes that you would like to give to people who would be fasting?
So there are 2-3 ways of fasting Navratra. Like 7 days people only eat falahar, where they don't eat any anaj. That means no roti and no pulses.
Sure.
So they'll primarily depend on kuttu ka atta or singhade ka atta or fafad ka this thing, and they will have sendha namak, which is allowed in this time. But they have to maintain their protein level. So make sure that if they require 50 grams, so they get it from milk protein, which is in form of since they can't have salt again and again, so in form of like sweet lassi or raita with their that kind of food. So for example, sabudana. People love sabudana khichdi. Now sabudana is pure sugar, okay? But of course, if you add little peanuts to it and make it richer, which is fine. So I would say that they have to maintain their protein profile. So have lassis, have dry fruits, and have papad ka puri with raita, and have dal makhana during the day. Maintain their protein profile and don't do heavy activities to maintain their so that they don't fall sick and they don't lose muscle for that matter. Yeah, that's it. And I'm going to be fasting, but most probably I'm going to do falahar for 7 days, where I'm going to, one meal I'm going to have tikki, aloo paneer ki tikki, and one meal I'll have papad ka puri or that, you know, kuttu ke aate ki puri, raita and some vegetable. And one meal could be nuts, which I have it in any case, nuts and tea. And breakfast I'll have lassi.
I think that's very calming about you is that how your entire nutrition and everything has also affected, I wouldn't say affected, but impacted in a good way on your skin.
Oh,
just
thank you.
Radiates. And I'm sure there's no makeup product that could help so much to radiate it. But what are certain foods, any lifestyle changes that especially women over 30, 40 as they grow should inculcate for a healthy skin?
So healthy skin is all about, first is sleep again, second is exercise again because it opens up your pores, sleep gives you beauty sleep, you know why it's called beauty sleep. Third one I would say protein, and fourth I would say fat. Protein in the sense that if your protein insufficient, it shows on your skin and the texture and everything. And of course, you know, even the skin is made from protein because we shed our skin on a daily basis, so it has to be replaced. So protein is very important. And vitamin D, we see our clients on a weekly basis. And if I find that, oh, this guy is coming, he's lost a lot of weight, but his skin is looking a little parched and is little withdrawn. So my first question is, how much fat are you using in your khana? So fat is extremely important because below your this level, there is a fat level which keeps it nice and healthy. So I never say that make your food in very less oil or use spray. They should use enough oil to be your vegetables to be made in oil, so that you can maintain a good skin. Maintain your immunity at the same time, because fat is also a part of your immunity. Okay, so that is very important, and it will always show if your food is enough in fats and protein. It will show on your skin.
I think one more secret recipe that you're, or one more secret ingredient that you're hiding is always smile. Because ever since around you, I've been smiling a lot. My jaws are hurting for a very good reason. But
thank you. Yeah, being happy is the best remedy for good skin.
Wonderful. Anything that I've missed out on that you would like to address to all our viewers before I let you go?
So, you know what I would like to tell all the viewers, that all the secret of good health is hidden in our traditional methods and the recipes. So, you know, even the nuskha, dadi maa ke nuskhe, I apply it all the time for so many things, like for cold and cough, for if my children, my grandchildren are falling sick. So we should not forget our the dharohar, our treasure. We in India, like, we are really rich in the kind of nutrition we have been inculcated from. So instead of all the time following Western world, we should understand spices are important, protein which we get from simple foods are important, and fats which we get from ghee and oil are important, and our nuts are very important. So keep a balance, not only in nutrition but also in your life and your sleep and your exercise, and of course your attitude. Everything matters if you want to have a healthy, long, happy and productive life.
That's such a sweet and good message. I will always remember that. Thank you so much, Suman, for joining us once again. And it was a pleasure talking to you.
Same here.
But before I let you go finally, why don't you just give us a little tour about what our winners are about to have when they win this sweet little box.
So winners are going to be from Mumbai. So we would be offering, I think, our Gond Laddus, which is our my whole Mishta started from Gond laddus, and Sattu laddus, which are my favorite. These are the 2 laddus which we are going to offer you during this time. Why don't you try one?
Wow, which one is your favorite?
So this walnut, cocoa walnut, I learned how to make when I was 13 years old.